John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
Hey guys, welcome. Andre Hodge, Infinite Potential Healing, Servant of Truth with you once more. I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey and welcome you if you're new. I think there might be a few new people popping up these days, so I welcome you and thank you for finding me. I'm not that easy to find and it is what it is out there. I welcome you to the early parts of 2023. And those in the future that are listening, I welcome you as well and really hope you get a lot from this and what I am about to offer here. So I was sort of brewing and leaving some space for some potential sort of stuff to happen, but I thought it's probably a really cool time to do a face sort of recording, which it feels like I haven't done one for a while, so it'd be good for you guys to tune in and see me and stuff. But also this particular video, I think it's very poetic to do it now. So what I'll just do is offer the name. I've got an idea of what I want to say. I'll just go with the flow of sort of what I come up with as well and stuff. But this video I'm going to call is Recalibration to a New Energetic Reality Part 4, and the name of it in that will be Holding the Energetic Line for Truth and Universal Potential. So you imagine sort of as a layer of the information I offer is that, as I said, doing a recalibration to a new energetic reality Part 4 now. Considering Part 3 was, I just checked it before I did it on October. I released it October 3, which I don't know if you tuned back into who you were then and what was going on, but I feel like it was a different me 4 times or 1,000 times over. And it's poetic to do this now when I was considering what to do and talk about and stuff, because say in that time I allude to, if you've listened to the recent releases, particularly the Galactic Special Forces Part 10 to 13, which have been on a roll. It was about October 13th, 14th, where, say from my perspective, I know Carleen did something on her region up north, and it was a Thursday, and I really felt a very big shift. And I know just interacting with Marla and behind the scenes, she got very activated as well. And it was like that particular day we did shift the reality. And so after then it was a very different experience, because there was a lot of frackery obviously consistently with me and stuff, and I'm not here to play the victim. It just is what it is. I'm here to push the truth limit and anchor that, and I use those words because this will help you. This is not about me so much, it's about you guys that are being courageous and thorough with me and invested a lot into what I'm offering. It hasn't been easy to anchor truth. If you take on board what I've said in the recent videos about the seeding of all the stuff, and I'll offer a few clips in here. I'm not sure totally what ones I will do, but the Galactic Special Forces Part 13, which was the last release on the New Year's Eve sort of thing, it's probably the biggest release I've ever released. And as I said, I don't apologize for making long videos, because I'm using it as an incentive to train up your psychic stamina, because these negative frackers that, as we outed and kicked out of the universe, they don't tool down when you're tired or whatever. They'll go after you when you are tired. And they'll wait, and they'll be cunning and can't wait, and they'll exhaust you until you're just depleted and under an energetic life force level to be vulnerable to compromise and smashing and stuff. And they're very diabolical and stuff. And an interesting word I've appreciated, and I said this to someone, was I'm feeling like going really savage on shit, alright? Savage on falsehood. And my vision was in the movie Edge of Tomorrow, where they're doing spinning in these exoskeletons with their big swords, and they're just clobbering the invaders and stuff. Like, frack falsehood and frack invaders and all that sort of shit, alright? Get the frack out of our universe, alright? If you've listened to those Galactic Special Forces 10 to 13, you realize how much we have actually achieved in that time that very few people can even appreciate or really want to hear, alright? Because the scale is so industrious of the starseed syndrome bullshit. 830 million beings here and 9 billion in the universe that Carleen can identify, and the species involved that were identifying the highly aware and targeting them because of frequencies that were naturally emanating, and all the tech that's been removed and that infrastructure being dusted and destroyed. And then the conflict invader that was puppeting 30,000 negative species in the universe, 2,000 in our galaxy, 100 in our solar system, and 58 messing with Earth, alright? So I'll look to include some of those clips a bit later. But yeah, just I want you to really, and thank you for, if you've been thorough and invested into them and taken on board as it is the truth. I just want to thank you for that investment, and those of you that are dedicated to see me and what I offer and that, and accept it as an aspect of your truth, right? And integrate it, and it's in your cellular memory. This will be aimed to help you if you're not feeling like you're contributing or something, to actually recognize that you are, but not only that, then amplify it as well, alright, to contribute for the potential of the rest, alright, because Falsehood and the Frackery had a very, very freaking bad day, or bad couple of 3 months since that recalibration to a new energetic reality part 3. So yeah, that's a little bit of an intro, and I don't want this to be a super long one. I want it to be a bit of an easy and an overview and digestion of the stuff that's been offered in the past. But those that are new, alright, there's a concept that I've offered, alright, and it's called consciousness Tetris, and I'll just show an image relative to that. So I haven't shown this for a while, alright, but say all the information that you ever consume, alright, is data. And while you have information in your conscious awareness, that's just the tip of an iceberg of the overall data that you've absorbed in your life and explored and contemplated on and stuff, right? The reason why I'm just bringing up the consciousness Tetris at the moment is I have offered a lot of hours of information, whether you're new, intermediate, or quite advanced. Potentially a lot of those concepts are still too much for you to, they're just a bit beyond your self-acceptance right now, or ability to actually perceive and all that, and that's all cool. What I'll just offer is that everything that you've absorbed is in your consciousness Tetris, and the way you perceive it is open for your own interpretation. And I always suggest have your discernment at a very high level, alright? And just take on board what you can accept, and don't worry too much about what you don't. That's progress. If you take on 3 or 4 concepts as new, because my stuff is very advanced, it's not entry level, but if you do work on it like a muscle, your acceleration and of your awareness will be exponential, alright? Because I'm not here to mess around. I'm working at the very highest level, and I train up and clear very, very aware beings, and I have to take a lot of responsibility on myself. But I also aim for all levels of the audience, but this is geared to those that have come out the other side of a lot, to be ready to contribute, because we are in a war. We're in an occupied planet, and there aren't too many allies. As I said in the Galactic Special Forces missions, and what was revealed is that the epic scales of what we've been up against has been identified, alright? So now we've got the appreciation of why it has been how it is, but now because of that and that context, it makes it easier to move forward, alright? So I'm going to move on. So just a bit of a really cool teaching in itself. After getting those, particularly part 12 with Annika, and then part 13 with Carlene as well, Galactic Special Forces recordings, I did them midweek, and New Year's Day it was a lot of work for me. Cleaning up the audios took a bit of that's the main thing, and just going through them and then creating the videos, plus doing some sessions and having a real epic, say 3 months, as I said, and maybe I'll just show you this as well, right, before I get into that. So with the past Recalibration to a New Energetic Reality releases, I've sort of gone against the streams, like Ghostbusters crossing the streams, and I usually put responsibility at the highest and take on board the toughest level of demanding responsibility and all that sort of stuff, to use whatever's going on to make it harder to become stronger. But what I actually advised was this. Early on, I said for people to actually, instead of take on too much that's going on around you, actually suck your energy in and not take responsibility for the stuff going on with people. Because as the Galactic Special Forces recordings have shown, that the level of compromise and influence out there is absolutely staggering. And in the reality, it's really fascinating. Truth is very much polarized against, but my attitude is truth is not an offense. and people carry on like have a tantrum about information that comes to them that they're not willing to consider. It's not your problem, it's their inability to will a change in them, and I'm compassionate about that, because it comes down to people's life force, and the inability to change usually is an indicator that people don't have the energetic resource available to integrate the change, because it might be a cascade and domino effect on other things, and it's an actual survival mechanism to purely accept what they're willing to accept, to find a way through this world, right? But with all that, my advice early on was to suck in and reduce as whatever you're perceiving as you, and have a maximum of about 2 or 3% that is you, and the majority of stuff going on outside of you is not yours. And that's the real 10 years of healing mastery, and being very thorough to eliminate yourself as a variable and know when you're compromised and all that sort of stuff, right? And then to get help or do work on yourself and stuff. So if I just move on, because this was a image that I showed in, I think it was Amplify the Echoes of Our Soul's Ancient Truth part 5 or 6, about the Chaos 19, and how certain illnesses out there are multidimensionally aimed at messing with us to create chaos variable in the reality, to distort our perceptions and stuff of those coming into their awareness, affecting the prefrontal cortex of people, and almost giving them an energetic lobotomy sort of thing, of disconnect from the multidimensional aspects of our collective sort of thing, but also then using them as antennas to broadcast distortion and chaos into the reality and stuff. So the higher you go multidimensionally, the more reality frackery potentially there is, right? So if I move on, in one of the other recalibration to a new energetic reality as well, is that when you get upgrades and expand, there's new territory, new rules, and there's a vulnerability when you enter new levels of awareness, and people might have dormant programs in them to target you and all that sort of stuff. But I would go back and revisit them if you're finding you're expanding, and they might add great context to what you're going through now, because in my opinion, the work that, say, Colleen, Annika and I did, plus Captain Marvel in the background, there hasn't been anything bigger in the universe for a long time, alright? Maybe ever. 420 billion years, that's never been identified up until this point, alright? So that level of truth that you've had the courage to integrate will no doubt upgrade you and put you in new territory, and you might be going through all the things that I've said back then, alright? So what I was going to say is that, for me, it's been a very potent end to 2022, and as I said, that the growth and what we uncovered in that last 3 months, and the releases that I offered, and the Galactic Special Forces stuff I was involved in, and there's stuff that isn't public as well. Say with just the last couple of weeks or something, there was a lot of fracked off species that got outed and put into spiritual code equity, and there's no doubt enormous resistance to facing that. And as Carlene said, in it, even though the upper levels are all taken care of, the tentacles and that in the reality is still at play. So they're all, just imagine, do you think they're going to be, oh, okay, we'll give up, we'll be nice, well, sorry guys, like, sorry for fracking with you for 400 billion years and creating species and all that, and trying to control Earth and take down the universe. Do you think they're going to give a shit? Or they're going to get, like, they're going to go ballistic because they're even more pissed off, and they know they're going to go either down the Gurgle or have to face this shit. They're going to be as nasty and diabolical on a next level, alright? So you got to be bracing for that, especially if you're aligned with truth. Because that sucking in, all the allies around you might be compromised and targeted and all that sort of stuff. So those of us in the group have all been pretty hit hard and stuff like that, and we have to be very careful. And so what I did, alright, I changed up my routine and patterns a little bit. So I'd isolated, done a lot of healing, and so I'd get into fitness and get stronger and fitter and recover quick, right? As I said in other releases, an aspect of my psychic defense isn't about trying to stop everything. You don't know, or my perspective is, I don't know all the angles that are out there, and my naivety in this reality, how it's been, the potential is always that there's gaps, right? So I aim to recover quick, so I don't put the energy into my defense, I just recover. So my trust in myself over the fear of getting hit is an amplification to my defense, if that mechanics makes sense. And I've said it a lot, right? But I changed up my routine, and it was really cool because this is how amazing Earth is, alright? And I'm going to show you some videos that I took, because I shared it with the people around me because it was really cool. So I walked 5Ks to my gym and stuff, and I changed my route, changed my times and stuff, just to not be as predictable, though I don't have a lot of predictability, you know. And so one night walking home, because you guys love the birds and stuff, I walked past this flock feeding of, they're like sulfur-crested cockatoos, but they don't have the crest. And I just took a photo of them because they were just chilling out, feeding and stuff, alright? And that's how abundant life is down here, and very lucky and stuff, alright? But then it was really cool because I even changed the route, because I walked 5 kilometers each way to my gym and stuff. And I took a subtly different time and different route, alright? And then the next thing that came up was, I was walking towards this guy that was walking this tiny little dog, and over the other side of the road there was just this absolute carnage going on with dogs, like giant dogs just barking the crap out of and causing all this commotion. And I laughed at the guy. It's like, he's got this tiny little sausage dog or something, and it's just freaking out by these 4 massive dogs over the other side of the road. But then I actually I realized, like, they're 4 golden retrievers that are massive, and they're pups. And so I went up to them, and they were just so playful and loving, and like wanted attention, and, you know, wanted to be patted and touched and in my field and stuff like that. So by me changing my route and times and stuff and that, I just so happened to come across 4 frickin' amazing golden retrievers that I could pat and play with on the way, alright? And then during the week I'd done a lot of healing on myself and had to have downtime and stuff, and then again, different time and different route. And then the next day I came across I don't know what a group of ducks are, ducklings. And basically I was walking to my gym, and there was a pair with 10 ducklings that were just so cute. And yeah, it was just really, you imagine walking across all this stuff, you know, being beaten up and smashed and stuff, and, you know, there's a lot of bleakness out there and stuff, but yeah, amazing life, alright? So my advice is, if you're in a rut and stuff, just change things up, try different things and see what potential is laid just out of your reach. You never know what amazing stuff is just there, alright? Recalibrate to your new energetic reality and see what gets revealed, alright? So, and another cool thing was that this is my day before that I make these recordings. I've been doing a lot of healing on myself, and I shook things up and stuff, and I didn't do the same thing, and I worked out a new freaking healing modality. And what I call it is ear candling pranic healing sandwich surprise, alright? And what I did is I wanted to be thorough myself, because I was contemplating whether I could even do one of these releases. I wouldn't do it unless I'm feeling good and clear and stuff, and I've had to clear people around me and that, and yeah, I was feeling some stuff, so I wanted to be a bit thorough in that, and I was like, oh wow. Well, I do a lot of pranic healing on me every time I go out, or after I come home, or after I wake up, or before a session and stuff. I'm always doing like a 15-20 minute pranic healing on myself consistently all the time. Proactive maintenance versus playing catch up to smashing and stuff is a lot easier to manage, you know, and it prevents the consequence of smashing. You know, a lot of people wait until it's too late and they've crossed the line and they get smashed, and it can be a long time to recover and stuff, and I don't sort of allow that, but I also train myself up to be able to recover quick, as I've sort of said. But what I did was I decided to do an hour pranic healing on myself, and I still felt some stuff, right? So then I was like, oh, I've been meaning to do an ear channeling on myself, and I did it. And it was very, very cool, because I've done a lot in the past, and it's not hard to do on yourself and all that. But what I found is by doing the pranic healing and feeling some stuff, and then doing the ear channeling, which is about another half an hour on myself, that's how long it took. When I was doing the second year, I was finally able to get a level of peace that I haven't felt for a long time, like a lost peace. And I had a reference of it that I can tune into and that. And then when I was done, I decided to do another pranic healing just to make sure after and make sure I was clear. So I call it ear channeling pranic healing sandwich surprise. So yeah, very cool. It was a lot of fun, but that's just what you can come up with by employing randomness and going into the unknown a bit. So if I show you an image that I haven't shown for a while. So I've shown this mechanics in the past, alright? And there's the known and the unknown, right? So you guys that have been thorough on me and my releases with especially the Galactic Special Forces, right? You've taken on huge unknown just to even contemplate it, alright? So just see your algorithm is very brave and has a lot of potential, alright? I'd say the majority of people have a very limited algorithm. They only trust what they trust, and they don't accept different perspectives, let alone discern all the variables out there, as we've sort of outed, alright? So this is just a opportunity to recalibrate. I haven't shown this awareness sort of mechanics for a while, but just say that even if you don't agree or trust or anything about me, your will to actually explore, the contemplation is the key, alright? And I'm always offering my perspectives as an invitation to consider, alright? Because my overall attitude is, and the savagery on the falsehood sort of stuff, is just the enormous setup for failure of what the last few years have been about. And as I offered in Amplify the Echoes Part 3, I offer an apology for my part in it, because I gave my perception of authority away and I trusted people and stuff, but just now with the hindsight, the sheer staggering failure of the spiritual community, the stuff we talk about in Galactic Special Force Part 13 and 12 and 13 and stuff, of the level of the scale, the industrial misguided compromise and stuff, is just, you have to see that that's all adds up very nicely to an algorithm that makes sense. And now it's a case of identifying those who are false and seeding the falsehood and contributing to it all. And to me, the algorithm of a lot of people is going to show up as what they represent, alright? So as I move on, so this being Recalibration to a New Energetic Reality Part 4, of holding the energetic line of truth and universal potential, what I'm inviting you to do is just really accept that how rare you are, as I've said, to be able to even contemplate the stuff that we've offered, right? While it is how it is now and a lot of things have to play out, in my opinion, you guys having the courage to contemplate and integrate the stuff we've said, it makes you very rare. Okay, so I was actually brewing to do sort of an advice for grid work sort of stuff, alright? Because in my opinion, the mechanics, there's no cookie cutter sort of, this is how grid work works, alright? It's more in the moment, highly secure, and you never know really what's going on because things can get derailed and targeted and stuff. So you have to be open but keep your cards close to your chest, and that's why, from my perspective, is anchoring yourself in the 12D level, which the revocation offers, is that encryption level of defense, alright? So those of you that have invested into that and worked with it and accepted it as your truth and potential, as I said with Carlene and that, the level of targeting the indigos is just phenomenal. It's even really interesting, like I in the Influences Part 3, I suggested a Shakti mat, like acupuncture mat, and Captain Marvel showed me what was going on with them, and it's ironic that the indigo color one had a Metatron's cube on the back. So if you want a metaphor of the targeting of the indigos, have a look at that, alright? Because you've got to get across the negative sacred geometry symbolism and the compromise that can do to our energy fields and stuff, right? And that's been offered many times in the Ashiana sort of stuff, right? In the Galactic Special Forces Part 10 to 13, with Carlene, we identified that the invasion to our universe happened about 560 billion years ago, right? And then in the Part 11, we identified that 420 billion years ago there was an enormous negative ambush that we've been enduring since then, and just to get to this point to be able to push back, right? So despite, as I said, the spiritual alternate truther community have a lot to answer for, because they've never offered us that scope of what's going on if they could actually perceive it, right? But what I'm offering with that is, in those releases, right, we've essentially formed the outside edge of the puzzle pieces. So we've found the context of what we're dealing with on a very big level. And so filling in the parts is only going to be a matter of time, and as everything reveals itself. Because falsehood, it won't have anywhere to hide, alright? So that's what I'm really wanting to offer, is you recalibrate to the fact that you're one of the few that actually have the outside edges of the incredible puzzle that we're in, right? And I'm a problem solver. Like, my whole thing from an IT engineer was solving problems quickly. I'm not here to hook people into endless streams of nonsense for money harvesting and all that sort of shit. I'm here about to solve your problems for you to be up to speed ASAP, so we can have a foundation of truth to launch from. Because to me, garbage in, garbage out. If you're dealing with falsehood, then you'll never know what's going on. If you have a foundation of truth, as crazy as it is, versus what the consensus and the volume of the narratives and all that out there are, the navigation through existence will be extremely efficient life force on a life force level. And so then the perception is a byproduct of that, because everything becomes obvious. Okay, so just really accept that while you may not accept all that we've done, and that you at least have the potential to realize the outside constraints of the puzzle that we're in, which is an extreme advantage over the vast majority right now, right? So I thank you for allowing that, but let's take it a lot further, alright? For those of you that are in, like, as I've offered many variables for your discernment of me, and if you feel that you can trust me and what I do is authentic, then build upon that as an anchor of truth, alright? To hold the line of truth for the potential of the universe, alright? So I'll move on. So those that are new again, I'll just show you another teaching that I've offered many times, alright? Many of you might be getting tired of this one, but this is the contrarian view, alright? So the vast majority, like this up and down, is a metaphor of how the vast majority of humanity work and operate, they operate in a herd. And they don't want to be an individual. They want to be comfortable in a group and rely on the trust of the collective on a interesting level, because it's possibly an indicator that they've been on a collective multidimensionally in the past, but they don't have any reference for it. So their only metaphor of expression is to be a part of the herd in humanity, and we'll just offer that the herd is influenced by the narrative and not by the truth that is, alright? So the red is the herd, and you know, when the economy is going good, people tend to jump in because they don't want to miss out. When the economy is sort of bad, they tend to sell their shares at the, if you use the trading metaphor, is people will, you know, when skin, energy, life force is in the game, people will, if we're talking metaphor of buying stocks, right, you think you'll sell high and you buy low, but people tend to buy high and get smashed and lose money, or they sell low when the sky is falling, sort of everything's going bad, alright? So the metaphor here is that the stuff that we've offered in those Galactic Special Forces recordings and all that I've done, I'm not a part of the herd, and we, in that group, we're not here to accommodate all the false sort of stuff. And a lot of people and teachers out there want the agenda benefits that accommodating those perspectives gain, like more interest, more people, the herd sort of thing. But you, if you're willing to consider this information right now, you're riding the wave and being courageous by accepting a truth that, my guess is, if you're here, you've exhausted the falsehood and you've had plenty of experience for that, and it's not benefited your life. If anything, it's made enormous consequence on a negative level to your life. So what the contrarian view is going against the herd, and I am definitely a contrarian perspective offerer for you to contemplate, but all that the contrarian is someone that is able to perceive the trend changing early on. And so if you feel very orphaned about what you're accepting with me, and it is opposite of what the vast majority are, it's courageous. But I would invite you to recalibrate to this, that's saying, because it's about your life force and time, alright? And what you're willing to open up for the potential to perceive the reality that's going to be very tricky going forward, when the effect of the Galactic Special Forces Part 10 to 13 really start to permeate the reality, because there's no way that they're not going to affect things. Do you understand? So I'm inviting you to be sovereign in your perception and your investment and your development, no matter what level you are. And I'm offering that me as a teacher at this time will not feel very familiar or maybe very uncomfortable because of the level of misguided frackery bullshit that's even gone into our bodies to actually accept the truth, alright? So it's an incredibly brave thing to even contemplate my stuff, alright? So I want to offer some clips, alright? But before I do that, I'm just going to show you an image that I drew before this, alright? So this is a new one I drew, alright? And the line is, as you can see, there's now, there's the past, and then there's the future, alright? And this green graph in the middle is like the potency of the moment versus time, alright? And you can see the level of reality effect, alright? And the resistance to our effects, okay? So long story short, what I'm sort of offering is, if you accept truth, and you can be independent of my perspectives or not, but I wouldn't say what I say publicly or be vulnerable to the transparency and even the missions being revealed unless I was very confident that what I'm offering is a truth that has not even been conceived of before. So we're in very, very raw new territory. So say if if you do accept my stuff, right, and you've gone through the discernment journey and stuff, and this is what I'm sort of offering is, you're a true thinker, right? There's a role there that you may not know, and to me it's an aspect of grid work, right? And it might be so subtle and simple that you don't even think it's contributing in any way, but I can assure you, right, and Colleen can see and all that, is that we're anchoring the potential of the future by accepting these perspectives that I offer, all right? And that's where this recalibration to a new energetic reality is, to really inspire you to realize how valuable you are right now and how everything is on the line, and all we've got to do is really hold the truth line, all right? So if this is about, you know, in the future there might be potentials, but when you go outside of the moment, that diminishes the moment. And then if you've got stuff in the past that you haven't resolved, it can limit the potency of the moment, all right? And this is a visual expression of grid work, all right? So, and I'll get into manifestation a bit later, but just see that as an interesting metaphor of the potency you have that you may not acknowledge up until this point, all right, of being aligned with the truth. And then if you master each, like when it comes down to grid work, all right, everyone on earth is a grid worker, okay, to be on the surface. But those aligned with falsehood and stuff, what's the effect that they have? It's seeding that potential, all right? And I'm being getting to the point here, all right? So you can debate what I say and all that, that's all cool. But what I'm inviting you, if you're one of the rare ones that actually is willing to accept what I've offered and what we've offered in the Galactic Special Forces recordings, if you thought that you had to do something other than be who you are, you're co-creating the gap of that. But if you accept yourself, despite all your faults, despite what you think you need to develop and all that, but if you just get it very simple, alright, what if you master this moment, this breath, alright, and you accept yourself fully as a one in trillions and trillions, to be able to actually make it, to incarnate on Earth into this body that you're in right now. And then out of the 8 billion here or so for now, the courage to accept this and my offerings, the couple hundred of you right now, alright? Do you own that pricelessness of who you are? And what if you own that, alright, literally, and then amplify it by mastering this breath? I spent 2 or 3 days this week just focusing on my breath because I wasn't breathing best, alright? And to see the concept is simple, but the execution might be 10 years of healing, alright? Do you understand that? You don't have to use guides, you don't need to be something other than who you are. If you can get to that point with enormous responsibility and the mastery of it, and the emotional courage to drop things that don't serve you and clear the body of what isn't needed and all that sort of stuff, and just purely focus on the breath, alright, and be a true thinker. What I'm going to do is show a really cool clip from Greg Braden's The Divine Matrix lecture, where he talked about the anchoring of peace and the potential of peace. And I've shown it before, but a lot of you guys may not have seen it because it was in older videos, but I'm just going to offer that, alright? And you take it on board as a metaphor of, okay, that's in an expression of peace. What if self-acceptance of your mastery and the courage to invest in my perspectives as your truth? What's the potential for us all? Okay, so I'll just show you this video and I'll be on the other side. Enjoy.
In the early 1980s, Israel and Lebanon were in the first Israeli-Lebanese war, the first war. researchers from the United States performed an experiment in the Middle East. They trained individuals to feel the feeling as if peace has already happened. This was the very famous experiment. Orme, Johnson, Alexander, Davies, Chandler, Larimore were the authors of the experiment. The experiment was called the International Peace Project in the Middle East. The results of this experiment were so profound that they were published in the Journal of Conflict Resolution, Volume 32, 1988. So the reference is here if you'd like to see this for yourself. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. They trained individuals to go into the war-torn areas and feel the feeling as if peace has already happened. They did not judge the war. They did not judge the Israelis good or bad, or the Palestinians good or bad, or the Lebanese good or bad. There's no judgment, no ego. They simply went in and felt as if the peace has already happened. Just like David felt as if the rain has already happened. Just like the practitioners felt as if the woman is already healed. You see where we're going with this. And what happened was each time the practitioners performed this experience, peace happened in the Middle East. Terrorist activities stopped altogether. Crimes against people declined. Emergency hospital room visits declined. Automobile accidents declined. And when the people stopped their feelings, all of those statistics reversed. Everything went back to where it was. And the researchers said, well, maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's a holiday. Maybe it's a full moon. Maybe there are more people on the streets today than yesterday. So they did the experiment again and again and again, and every time the results were the same. In fact, they were able to determine how many people it takes to feel peace for peace to happen in that area. And here's what they found. Very small number. They said if you can get the square root of 1% of your population to feel peace, peace will happen. What does that number look like? Well, let me show you the math. These are very small numbers. The square root of 1% of the population. If you have a city of 1 million people, how many people are in Milan? Do we know? Approximately? 5 million? So, okay. Yeah, well. So, muchos personas, right? Okay, if you have a city of 1 million people, here's how the formula works. You take the number of people, total number of people, multiply by 1%, so 1 million times 0.01 gives you the number 10,000. Okay, now you take the square root of 10,000, 100 people. In a city of 1 million people, if there are 100 people that know the language of peace, they can begin that experience of peace. What does that mean for our planet? Let's look at our planet. Earth has a population a little over 6 billion people now, close to 6.5. If we do the same thing, 1% of 6 billion people is 60 million people. If you take the square root of 60 million people, the number is just under 8,000, 7,746 people. There are 1,000 people in this room. 7 rooms like this can change the world. And that's just the beginning. What happens If many, many people come together on the internet, on the World Wide Web, they coordinate and create that peace. Well, it has happened. It's been done. Princeton University organized the studies, and while the people are feeling peace, all that happens is peace. The problem is that people stop feeling peace and then walk away from the experiment and everything changes.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. It's always I love Greg Braden and his perspectives like that, and it's a very cool clip, and it's very interesting, isn't it? Have you allowed yourself to accept your potency of the potential that you're actually contributing to now, alright? And it's like I've said in the earlier Recalibration to New Energetic Realities about entering new territory and having to reduce the variable that you're the issue of your stuff. Why don't you amplify yourself 1,000 times the potency that your contribution is? Why don't you do it 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times? Do it humbly. You know, you don't have to impose yourself on others. Just anchor that alignment of who you are right now, alright? And against the level of frackery that's gone on, alright? So what I'm going to do is probably include a couple of clips here, because I've offered a lot of information that might have been too much for you to consider, and it's going to be potent to just re-offer segments of that, especially the Galactic Special Forces Part 13. So this clip I'll offer will be the section related to the industrial seeding of the starseed syndrome sort of stuff, and the scales of it, and the species that were clubbered because of it, alright? So I'll offer this clip now, and then I'll offer another one later, alright? So enjoy, I'll see you in a bit.
So yeah, she's getting a lot of healing in the chamber, and it was just playing with her tech and stuff. And then there was quite a few things done. Basically, she had a Aya ceremony, and she could see all the frackery in that. And so insectoids were messing with that. So we got a target on the insectoids as a whole, alright?
Awesome.
They were creating the whole Stockholm syndrome that will help you, and you've got nanotech in you, so we'll remove it, but they were actually putting it in everything, in the Aya and stuff, and fucking with everyone.
Yep.
There was all this Vine sort of misguided shit that was coming through the practitioner. So she's been clearing all that out and clearing out the people and that, and clearing out all the negative tech in her. And then it just evolved after that to clearing out the selenite that she's got, which was compromised. And that's what she used to track back, that there's this high dimensional, smoky sort of etheric oversoul entity that's puppeting all these others, right?
Yes.
And so she was like, do we have to, like, spiritual code equity? Can't we just dust it off? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Get them fucked off. You know what's right or wrong. And they didn't like it. They lost all their power because they were scanning and targeting and manipulating all high awakening beings. So it was her awakening that triggered their defense or their offense to send the crystals that were messed up, which was a violation, and tracked it back, and then worked out what they were doing to all the awakening beings, alright? So that was targeting the highly aware. For how long, do you reckon?
How long has that been going on for?
Well, you tune in if you want.
That's what I'm doing.
So I'm giving you an overview. We've done a lot, alright? So
yeah, totally.
So
that like the first rounds of that, like we've said this before about the infiltration in the moment,
Yeah.
right? So the highly aware stuff, highly aware beings that have been targeted through time, fates, that all started back at that 420 billion year mark.
Yeah.
Wow.
So can you tune into this species, what it was at all?
We're talking about the insectoid species.
We'll get to them in a sec, but this oversoul cloud sort of species that was controlling the tech or using
These
the...
were entities. So there was some sort of like not spirit, but they were like etheric, but not beings, and they were controlling beings that they were. So they were controlling other beings that are here in physical. Many different races of them, but they were like an etheric, ugly
so this
looking
is how
thing.
this is how I'm seeing it, is that there's a collective behind them. So the field that they come from is an interdimensional field at I was kind of looking at the dimensions of where they've actually come in from. So I would say that was an interdimensional field at like 7.5.
Yeah.
So then they're in between dimensions. So what they do is, like, as you kind of go up dimensionally, they'll hack you on the way up and hack you on the way down. It's the same thing as we were talking about before with the Orion stuff.
Yeah.
And because people haven't been able to navigate properly, everybody's infiltrated.
Yeah.
With that, so it's like this whole smearing of everybody, but it's more to do with the false mechanics and making people more attracted to that, false teachings, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So they're wiping people and setting the Stockholm sort of syndrome into that. Yeah.
I mean, there was when I did that clearing with Ginger with the star seeds, where she was getting, there was 832 million starseeds that were awakening, and they were all falsely inserted into the reality at that point.
I didn't know that. You did that?
Yeah, and having the false mechanics of Stockholm Syndrome, where they were taken off planet as kids, abducted, and then you've got the whole starseed syndrome. I'm going to start calling it a starseed syndrome.
Absolutely.
Right? Where we believe that we're not from around here, right? Because we've been so hijacked on a constant basis, and we're so trusting as children coming in as an indigo, right? That we believe that these beings are all here to help us, and they're not. But for that, she was getting like 832 million or whatever, but there isn't. There was 9.2 billion that had infected, and it's the same thing. It's like the same scenario where it's like, okay, so all of these starseeds have come in with that throughout the whole of the universe, not just on this planet.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so these souls have come in. They've come under this guise, basically, that this is, they're not from around here, and it goes universal wide. So wherever they are orientated in space and time, they don't feel at home. Right? And then on top of that, you've got this coming in where they're then navigating to the wrong.
Yeah.
So they're already inserted with stuff to make them look for things that feel like a resonant frequency match.
So they're hijacked indigos that think they're not from here, that have false memories that they gravitate to set them up for a trap, to create the narrative and the false manifestation of the spiritual movement and shit. So it's all fake, and it's all misguided deliberately at a massive industrial scale.
Yeah. Good job for uncovering the rest, though. And the other bits that go with it.
Yeah.
And it's actually, you know, the ones that have the original template, like the original template.
Yeah.
If you've got 48 strands, you've got the original template dynamics.
Yeah.
As you hold the keys and codes for the universal stargates, basically.
So basically,
that's how I perceive it.
And all the 48 strand were emitting a frequency that was making them detectable. So how about we cloak that first?
Yeah, sure. Let's cloak all of those.
So it's
beings that are founder race beings.
Imperceivable and undetectable.
Yeah. Well, I don't like that very much, do they?
Your surveillance tech does not work anymore. Bad luck.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can filtrate through that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you see all the species that are being sent to the spiritual court of equity now? They're being ordered to go face their karma of all their negative bullshit.
Yeah.
Tantrum City.
Yeah, you had a bit of a tantrum.
I think the spiritual court equity are going to have to pay overtime for a bit.
Oh, thanks for adding weight to my job, love. Thanks.
Crazy. Welcome back. Crazy. Hey, the level of industrialized compromise that's gone on that you have endured to be here now, to accept, be one of the few, to anchor the potential so that other people can realize what's being done to them. Alright? So what I'm going to do here is offer a clip of the conflict invader and the scale that of influence gone onto our universe and the level of cleanup that's going to go on, and why it's so important to anchor that truth on Earth now, to no longer allow falsehood a chance. Alright? So I'll see you on the other side.
Just to get into the specifics a bit, going through this Aya ceremony, what it was found out that they were putting, particularly in this instance, the insectoids, the mantis, were coming through again, and they were putting nano spiders sort of shit into people. So they're the ones using the nano spider stuff, which is pretty diabolical to frack with people. So I think the mantis are going to have a freaking bad day, and all the insectoids doing all this shit, because they've just crossed the line big time. Alright?
Yeah, there's a hive of them though, isn't there? That's what I'm seeing, is like there's a hive. You know, like we were talking about, like the hive mind thing?
Yes.
There's a hive of them, there's a nest.
Are you able to see it, Annika?
Pinpoint where that nest is.
I'll have a look, 1 second. Okay, yeah, so... Alright, so we're looking for a hive, yeah?
Yeah.
A hive. Because they're everywhere, the mantis, like, Alright, okay. I can see a hive. I can see it connected to... It's another world, though. It's another reality, or whatever it's called, dimension. I don't know what you call it.
What did you say the first species were? They were in a
interdimensional, so they're kind of in between dimensions. But to me, these feel like they're a little bit. There's from that interdimensional field, like how they slip in and out of different dimensional realities and can't really be found, is because they're interdimensional. They're in between.
Yes.
Okay. So what I can see is a long black. It's almost like a long branch of a tree, but it's not a tree. It's connected to something else that's so another pillar. It's very extraterrestrial. Like I can't. It's hard to explain.
So if we go back, so if we backtrack through that interdimensional field, right? So you've got that long branch that comes down, okay? So we want to go behind that because there's something else behind that that's actually controlling them. So even though we're going, this is this species and they're doing all the wrong, there's something else behind that that's actually controlling all of them as well.
Yes.
So it's like, rather than going after all of the minions, let's go to the core of the problem.
Yeah.
And look where that's coming from, and we'll just rip the fucking root out. Excuse my language.
Head of the
from
snake.
there.
Head of the snake.
And they have no,
Yeah.
There's a fair bit of interference going on.
So my feeling for that is that we actually just put up a barrier between those, between this reality and that one. Does that make sense? You just go, look, you just can't feed off of us any longer. Whatever you have can go down phantom.
Yeah.
And the rest is just going to be shut off. That's my feeling. How do you feel about that, Annika?
Yeah, because what I can feel is
Annika likes destroying shit. Smash.
What I feel, like I totally feel that they are also puppets to a master, but I feel like that master that's behind them, that is controlling them, is controlling many aspects of the digressive forms of ETs. So it's like there's just ultimately one force that is causing havoc, but doing it through many different channels.
Yep.
So it's like, so say you've got like
So
here,
we're tracking it back. They're not liking it. They're
why
they're going to get busted very soon.
Yeah,
right?
which is why I'm saying, like, rather than going after, it's like if you concentrate on the race, you're going to miss the fact that there's something behind all of them. So let's just go to the core of it and just go, do you know what? Fuck off.
That's
Get
what
out
we're
of our
doing.
universe.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So the core of it is deep, because the core of it is like, so we've got organic source energy, and their core of them is that total opposite to our organic source, God source, whatever we want to call it. They've got a total opposite to that, and that's what we're trying to target. Then you
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't like it
Yeah.
at all.
So
Fuck you.
it's all right. I'm just going to backtrack through the many digressive forms. So say like the knowledge that we learn about with regards to the different digressive aliens, and then they're fighting against each other. That's also just some bullshit that's been implanted within them to make them feel that they've got conflicts with each other, when really they're all on the same side. They're just being used themselves to not realize. So okay.
Absolutely. So this is like the conflict demon of the universe, right? We had the jealousy one before. This is like the conflict demon.
Yeah.
You know?
Conflict source.
Of like, yeah.
So then is there a part of that for that main source that is controlling all of them? Is there a part of that that is infiltrated organic creator, if you get me, that is, because, well, then why can't our organic source intercept to fuck off that?
Because it didn't come from here. I said this before about like the
invasion,
the various different layers of infiltration and an invasion. It's because those beings are not supposed to be in this level of reality.
Okay.
But they don't belong here. They've infiltrated. It's like the skin of a bubble. So if our reality is like at the edge of it, you've got like a skin of a bubble, and each bubble of reality kind of knocks on to the next universe or cosmos, because it's not really universe, it's bigger than that. But they've penetrated into this reality.
Okay.
That's how I see it. It's like those things are, there's like a film of separation deliberately for a reason, so that you can co-create in that sphere without having anyone interfering with each other. But they violated that.
Okay.
And then they come into this universe, and it's the same scenario that you had before, where, that because some of them have spawned here, they then believe that they're part of this, and they're really not. They don't belong here.
Uh-huh. Yeah, cool. So there's one main body of brackery that we need to target and bring down. So, all right, cool. Then it's going to need more than, obviously it's all three of us that need to do that all at the same time, but we need to actually pinpoint that. And
we're all there though already.
Okay.
I can see that we're all there already.
Okay.
On other dimensions. It's like being, like I was going to say, it was like a Guardian of the Galaxy moment.
Yeah.
We're all just like standing there going, do you know what? Back off. You're not allowed to do this anymore. The other thing is, it's not just us. So the entourage that we have, all of the other different dimensional aspects of us that are in like the founder beings as a spiritual course of equity are all standing with us, so it's not just us alone.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Then are we sending this fucker to dusting, because we don't need him to?
It's not anything to do with our universe.
Yeah.
So that's not enough.
Back. So
it just basically being told to fuck off and not to interfere in this universe, otherwise there will be consequences.
Okay, cool. So basically just go back to where you came from and stay there.
Eviction.
Yeah.
You've been
basically. You have now been evicted.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm there.
The locks have been changed. Get out of the house. You have 10 seconds to comply. Hit the road, fracker. Don't you come back no more. No more, no more. Hit the road, fracker.
Oh wow, it's fierce and angry, but has no ground to stand on. It already knows that, and it's like, oh fuck, I'm cornered.
Yeah.
How about we give some conflict to the conflictor?
I think it's already going through that on the inside.
Yeah.
There's this whole like dynamic of like, just have all of that conflict back,
Take it with you.
Take it with you, yeah, exactly. All of the conflict dramas that have happened, in this universe because of it. You can just have all of that back. So there's still going to be conflict playing out on this side, though.
Yeah. So what we need to do is send a lot to the spiritual court of equity to resolve their shit.
Yeah.
So now we're taking
So
care of
anywhere
the head of the snake. All right.
Yeah.
And that's also then all the beings that have been working under its control.
Yeah.
They need to be sent to the spiritual court of equity, right? So some of them are not from here and they can frack off back to where they came from.
It's like a mass universal eviction.
Not bad for 9 hours in.
It's not bad for 9 hours in. Good, well done, love.
Good luck trying to sustain war in Ukraine now, scumbags.
Yeah, the truth of the duality, that's what I feel is going to come out on the ground. It's like, hold on a minute, aren't they both playing the same side? It's all going to come out.
Yeah.
That's my feeling, is that you know, where they have caused conflict and one side fighting against another, and all the lives lost through that.
Mm-hmm.
Where they've been actually pulling both sides.
Because even the people that they've been controlling here on the ground, they have to awaken into a deeper awareness to be able to understand what the fuck has been going on, so they can...
Well, I guess there's been a fog like you had.
Yeah, exactly, everyone, yeah.
And the fog is going to dissipate, and the result is truth, you know?
Yeah.
Like, falsehood is very costly to maintain, and illusion and manipulation, drugs and all that shit. But awareness is the rule here, you know? Literally. Authenticity, truth, integrity, harmonious universe. That's what we're in, you know? Earth is pivotal to that.
Absolutely.
As if that's going to be maintainable, anything but that. And we're going to fucking send all the money to whatever's going on over there, and we're going to make everyone suffer and live in freezing cold. That's not going to happen. Energy costs are a load of shit. They can't use inflation as a weapon to destroy the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's like a kaplunk again, like universal kaplunk.
Yeah.
There's another straw gone.
Yeah,
you know?
I just like, you think you're going to fuck with us in our world? We'll just go and get rid of the source of all your fuckery, and so you're going to be like, the Emperor has no clothes anymore, busted, Marilyn Monroe style, you know? And we've just eliminated all the influence of highly aware beings that are anchor points for the whole awakening, and just outed the starseed syndrome bullshit, fakery. I think the insectoids have got a lot to answer for all their frackery. I don't know if they fucking deserve to play the victim to their conflict.
That will be taken into consideration, obviously, with like the spiritual courts of equity. That point in case will be kind of noted, but at the same time,
big underlined bold writing. You fracked with 9 billion beings, and you know, created a whole false bullshit concept to co-create the outcome that you wanted, and they could get away with the but we didn't know that we were being fracked with. They still did the actions, right?
They knew. They know what they've been doing, and they've been enjoying it, and they've been enjoying playing to that agenda.
Absolutely.
The Sergeant Schultz, I know nothing is no longer valid defense. The Sergeant Schultz, I know nothing is not a valid defense. You know.
Yeah, ignorance is not. Yeah, it's not a defense.
You can't use the false Akasha bullshitter to obfuscate the truth.
No, not any longer. Haha.
They're probably clicking away because they're pissed. We'll click the fuck away
Yeah.
off this planet.
So we're doing a quick sweep then.
Absolutely.
You reckon galactic sweep?
Definitely.
Cosmic sweep?
Feeling light in my chest and gut.
Yeah, me too, actually.
They're not fucking happy.
The chest area in particular.
Yeah. I guess a lot of these species are going to come out of their delusion and realize what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them won't give a shit still.
No.
You know. And others will be on the shit, I didn't realise that was wrong.
Yeah.
It's pretty epic frackery that's gone on.
They're also going to need to be taught why what they were doing was wrong, because they're just following instinct.
So there's a lot of stuff, like recently there's a lot of beings that have been put back onto redemption contracts as a way of going back to the beginning and relearning, you know, what it means to be in a co-creation in this way.
Yeah, species, you mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And others, it's just like, well, you've been on redemption contracts before and you failed again.
Yeah, so it's those fuckers that can just be sent for dust to dusting. Like, you've got one chance and one fucking chance only, or just fuck right off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, how many times do you need to fall in order to get back up again? Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't keep
betraying our trust, the universe's
absolutely.
trust.
Yeah.
Doesn't
absolutely.
indicate you're gonna be reliable and honest, and
that's it. And then to have to be here now to unravel the last 450 billion years, like, you haven't got another chance. Your chances are all up.
yeah.
That's it. So one chance.
This is like the restoration of the universe, because it's gone on too long and they've played too dirty, and then they've tried to fucking pull the whole universe down. So this is just the bullshit antidote being kicked in now.
Yeah, it's just like we can't allow that to continue, because we'll lose everything.
Yeah.
Like all of the experience, all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom that we've gained, we'll just lose, because we won't remember it. It's bad enough being in a blimmin'...
Because they won't stop. They won't stop. It's like never ending. They'll never be satisfied. Greed, hunger. She's on patrol.
There's another thing that I kind of probably need to bring up with, like, because of the levels of consciousness that various different beings have, they will be kind of they'll be put on a redemption contract at the level that they can understand it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because if we're talking, like, you know, how do I put it? You know, like, people go, oh, well, when everybody dies, you're suddenly an enlightened being and you know everything and blah, blah, blah. But you actually, no, you don't necessarily, because it's not in your spheres of awareness. So it's like having to go in at a level that they understand. Yeah. So the redemption contract that they'll be put on is at a level that they will understand, and then they can start evolving more understanding as they go through however many cycles they need to go through to get to whatever dimensional beings they want to be, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
So how many species do you have a number that are involved with all this?
I'm going to leave that one to Annika. Go on. How many species are involved with all this?
58 was the initial number that came to me. But something is telling me it's way more than that. So, yeah just 58 came to me initially. I don't know what the 58 must mean. It means something. But there's different beings, like, as well as like hybrids of beings and all of that stuff. There's well within the thousands.
Okay, so from my perspective, I would say the 58 is how many were actually interfering with Earth directly.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the others are kind of, so you've got like different layers to it. So you've got, from my perspective, 58 that were directly involved with those incarnating on Earth, and then you've got 102, I think, that were in the solar system, this solar system, and then you've got the galactic, which is 2000, and we've got 2032, and then from there you've got like the universal. And if you're including all of the hybrid races and stuff like that, the ones that have kind of come out of all of the mergings, the various different races, I would say there's probably about 30,000.
Yes.
Universally.
Yeah, I thought it was tens. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. So it's going to take a little while to kind of get through all of those. And all of the different like redemption contracts and who's going where, and you know.
Welcome back. Awesome clip. Hey, I'm not sure how long it is. This might be a long video out of it all, but as I said before, the Greg Braden clip. Alright. What's the potential for us all if you accept yourself as being freaking badass in a truth anchor potential in each breath, of just by you knowing what you know. You don't need to go somewhere else. You don't need to be something other than who you are. Alright? In this breath, this moment, you, by just knowing this stuff and going through the past releases from that October 3rd Recalibration to a New Energetic Reality Part 3, I know myself I've offered a profound level of information, alright, and teachings. So, yeah, just see that metaphor, alright? Because what I'm inviting you to do is amplify who you are to make it even more potent, alright? And align with your truth. And that's the key in this moment, wherever you may be, alright? Just now, going forth. Because you are going to be needed to anchor that for the potential for the rest, okay? And trust me, Earth knows what you're doing, alright? As do your guides, off-world allies, and guardians and founder beings and stuff. We are the Frodos of the universe, alright? We're the ring holders of the potential of the whole universe right now, okay? And I'll just round it out with a bit of the manifestation concepts that I offered in Be the Director of Your Own Destiny, alright? Because like pranic healing, if you do it, alright? Within the first 20 minutes we were doing healing, alright? So a lot of the concepts out there have got to be easy, okay? But that's where the 10 years of healing and self-mastery might take you to get to be able to master the moment, alright? And accept the responsibility of the effect that you might have, okay? But I just wanted to offer this, alright? And I'll revisit some images that I haven't shown for a while relative to manifestation, okay? I'll just show you this quick as well, alright? So say I've got those dots there, they're in the future, okay? So if you get out of the moment, do you see the level of the potency is the green on the scale, alright? So the further you get away from the moment, the reduced potency you have in the potential impact of things, okay? So say me, you can focus on the future, but you can anchor yourself in the moment, and why would you be anything other than your maximum in every moment, alright? So you can observe it, but not be affected by it, but own the moment, alright? But I'll just show you a manifestation image that I showed in that be the director of your own destiny sort of show. So I haven't shown this for a while, but just see this mechanics, alright? So say the whole one aspect of the system is trying to keep you out of the moment, alright? To keep you thinking about something other than yourself in this moment, alright? So say a lot of the false teachings are being seeded, alright? To get us to negatively manifest stuff that we don't want, alright? So the mechanics of the data is false. That gives us a false foundation to not be in the present, to want something other than we are, because the society is diminished. Like we're a minuscule aspect of who we are, and we know we're more, but it sort of the system hijacks with the narrative and the information that we're only allowed to be seeded, that something must be done and we need something other than who we are. So you think about climate change. So something's wrong, so they insert data to get us to think about something we don't want. So we have this aim, but then the outcome is that. Do you understand? So when you're anchoring truth and in the moment, okay, just realize all this. Just realize there are false teachers out there, there's false data. As I've shared the clips that are relative to the influence, it's phenomenal, the volume, alright? So who can you trust? That's why I always have the discernment mechanics, and discern me, but discern everyone, alright? And give yourself a reset of everyone that you've ever accepted, and give yourself a blank template to start from. Just realize the baggage that you might have and the trust you've given away of concepts that no longer serve you or us, alright? To anchor the potency in the moment, right? Because then I'll show you another image, okay? Because that's what it's all about. It's actually very simple. So, like I said in the last video about shedding the past skin of all the stuff that no longer serves us, perhaps you can shed anything you want at any time that you haven't realized, and now is a good time to start, because what you might shed might amplify your potential of anchoring the truth for us all, alright? Because then this might be the outcome. If I show you another image, I've used these images in the past many times, but just I'm using this one for the natural earth grid that's beyond the technology, okay? So you can see there's a lot of technology being implemented, that there's a constant diminishment of our potential as an individual and intuitive abilities and all that sort of stuff. So just see the escalation of the technology and the frequencies and all that used there, probably because we're the threat. Alright, and it is quite simple. So the level of investment in falsehood is trillions and billions and massive scale and industrialized. The need to negate you possibly is the one that can breach through all that stuff, right? So I just say the internet and that is a external manifestation of probably the telepathic sort of songline sort of true earth network that we haven't had for a very long time, that is our birthright as being born on Earth Mother, alright? And those of you that are here that are being thorough and invested in it, to really self-accept yourself, and despite all the craziness going on, you're still badass, and if anything it's amping you up even more. I would invite that you're holding the energetic line for truth and universal potential now, alright? So I hope this helps you. I hope this is of great benefit, and I hope this offers you a powerful, potent recalibration to an aspect that you didn't even know that you're doing by your nature, and how epic you are just by being you, alright? So yeah, I hope this is a very beneficial recalibration, and it's a good one to really revisit, and just despite how bad you feel or how tough it is and stuff, the courage for you to accept, say, these concepts that I offer, and that I'm really wanting to empower you to see that just by having the courage to accept whatever you accept, and even if it's beyond me and you don't accept what I say, that's all cool. The courage to even contemplate this now and find me is, I'm very grateful. And as I say all the time, I'm very grateful for you to find me, whatever level you accept. I know I'm not easy to find and there's not a lot of support, and I'm okay with that, alright? Because there's a lot going to get shaken out and a lot going to get exposed, and probably a lot don't like me at the moment because they know in their future that this data is going to be the component that allows them to be transparent in a way that they didn't want it to be, okay? That's not my problem. People governed by agendas to benefit from falsehood for influencing people in a consequential way, that's their problem, not mine. Right? So thank you for being here. I'll round it out now. I really strongly invite you to invest quite a bit in not only those last Galactic Special Forces recordings, but everything released in the last, since that October 3 last release. And also revisit the Be the Director of Your Own Destiny release I did midway through 2022. But I hope you've had an awesome start to your 2023. And if you're new and you've had the courage to invest some time in watching this, I thank you. Even if it hasn't made a lot of sense now. Maybe do a reanalysis of you and revisit this one in 6 months' time to see how much you've grown and how much you didn't hear. Because that will be a outstanding way to measure your growth when you recalibrate yourself to a new energetic reality. So until next time, guys, and you freaking badass true thinkers, thank you for your commitment here to Earth, humanity, and the universe as we take it back and re-establish truth is all that is to be accepted, and falsehood will be exposed for its compromise and effect. So lots of love. Until next time, Andre out. Hey guys, I didn't expect to be here. I just thought I'd add a little extra to this video because I'm in the process of making it. Something really cool happened overnight. My afternoon I did a post on Facebook and did a community post on my YouTube channel because I know a lot of you probably don't use Facebook and I'm not there very often. I've had to have my boundaries up very high and defense and guard and stuff of late, and the main body of this recording I actually did pretty close to the release. I did it the day before this, and overnight, the Friday night to Saturday morning, I caught up with Carleen for another healing, and sort of the whole group of people around us have been hit pretty hard over this last couple of weeks, and we've had to go to ground a bit. As I sort of alluded to in the video, what came out of it, it's really interesting because, say if obviously Carleen's a pretty epic target and there's a huge transition in truth and the revealing of the level of diabolical falsehood frackery is going on, and so we really pushed the limit a couple of weeks ago because it's now January 7th, right? And what was revealed is, long story short, is Venus as the planet had actually been compromised and broadcasting very negative, diabolical, misguided divine feminine, divine masculine sexuality sort of stuff, alright? And this was done before the Ayani massacre. So it was an ingredient to the recipe to take down the surface of Earth, which we're living the consequence of 25,000 years later, which is ongoing as well, right? So Venus as a soul was trapped inside herself, and this was done to her. A bit like, say, if you've watched the influencers sort of videos and chips can get inserted and stuff to actually broadcast polarity tech to polarize people against us sort of thing. Well, this was very distorted. Not only that, Venus is being used to broadcast to the whole galaxy, right? And it's, so the divine masculine was very targeted by honey trap sort of women. There's stuff in the grid that was cleared. Say in my past, my divine masculine frequency was hijacked because Carlene has offered who I've been in the past. So it's got a variable out there. So it was my frequency was violated and used as a lure to lure women in sort of thing, and other people in to then hijack and access codes and stuff. So there was players involved here, but then it was also going back to Anunnaki and Pleiadian sort of aspects at a very high level, that very nasty. So they got dusted, alright. But yeah, we did a lot of tracking back, and so long story short, okay, it's Galactic Special Forces, big time sort of stuff. But the key I want to offer you is because it's a very powerful full moon, and perhaps a lot of you women out there and people around us who've been involved with us or have the potential to be seeking us out, and the scale of blocking to me is being revealed sort of thing. Perhaps there's been a lot of compromise and distortion on this, and so you have had a pretty rough couple of weeks and distorted on the lower energy sort of stuff. But what I'm inviting is that that's potentially been relieved a lot. A lot of the violative clear things done to people have been cleared. There was stuff in the grid that's been cleared. So this might be legit the first clear full moon that we've all experienced on Earth for over 25,000 years, right? So very cool to offer this as a little postscript in this recalibration to a new energetic reality, because it's definitely changed, okay? So see how you feel, see what goes on. And what we actually put in was, another thing with this is that, say if a lot of the relationships were all distorted, so people were set up with wrong partners sort of thing, and so that disease between this scenario that would lead to failed relationships and stuff, particularly in the back of the right hip. If you've ever had a bad relationship, and I've been feeling it with the people around me and stuff, and in my past I know it's been there, that's like a vortex of energy harvesting mechanics for the whole freaking Earth, solar system, galaxy sort of thing, to harvest the energy on another level to maintain the apparatus and the phantom matrix sort of stuff. So that nourishment was being used for negative hierarchical bullshit, alright? So that's been lost, and we actually sent massive, like 1 billion times the karma cost for each violation. All energy is to be restored. During part of the clearing, cleared up the Aurora Borealis, because what has also been inserted is a very, very negative, diabolical, sexual sort of hijacking fantasy sort of, and inserting fantasy sort of stuff into dream time, and then no doubt steering people into misguided sort of shit that's been puppeting, and the Dreamtime invasion sort of stuff, and using shades and all that. That's a very subtle layer into one of the dreaming body layers, and we'll be more clear on the mechanics later and stuff. But so if you've had invasions on that sort of stuff, and you know it's not those people that are perceived as it, then you've had a vulnerability and you've been hacked that's been allowed access to access your codes and your source stream and stuff like that, to gain the data and the pattern recognition for these violating aspects and hierarchy. So the negative hierarchy is actually quite elaborate, and there's a few perpetrators out there and stuff. So what we also did was had to clean up the Aurora Borealis and the Dreamtime construct up there, and what we've actually flipped is the global Dreamtime awakening is going to be the awakening of everyone that's being violated, and those individuals are going to have dreams of everyone witnessing what they've done. So a lot of people in their dreams are going to have very clear visceral reactions to the violations that's been going on probably for a long time, right? And the violations are no longer sort of working, and yeah, if you get my drift, there's a lot of very nasty diabolical frackery that's been going on that got revealed. So Venus is very, very grateful and happy, and yeah, a lot of you probably definitely are tapped into her. So this might be an incredibly potent weekend for you. So, and those of you in the future that find this, maybe track back to how you felt on this weekend, because it's going to be a very interesting one. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. We'll see what brews relative to those sort of things in the future. I never really talk about things before they're done. It's a defensive thing, but now that it's done and this, I just really wanted to give it as a variable into this moment for you guys that have been dedicated with me and, say, Carlene, and just want to thank you for being here, and I hope you really enjoyed the show and you gained a lot from it, and really anchor your truth and master your moment, guys, and keep it simple and see what comes out of it. I'm sure you're going to rock the world with us, alright? So lots of love. Andre out.
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.